Oh my fucking god. That's... Jesus Christ. Slow down, he said.
Sorry. I don't think we're getting in.
We have to. Just go. Go across.
I can't see, man. There's fucking doors open.
Oh my god, all these houses are on fire. Oh my god, dude. Oh shit. That's Chris's house.
Where?
Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. Chris's house is toast. We gotta go, Dad.
I'm trying, Nate. I'm trying.
Oh, dude. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Dude, our house is not gonna make it. Our house is not gonna make it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, our house is not gonna make it. We gotta go.
Where's your house?
It's straight. I can't straight. It's straight. Gotta go around this guy. Like he's videoing or he's watching or something.
Where's your house?
It's straight. So this is Glen. It's right across the street. Oh no, that's right. Might be our house right there. That's on fire. Come on, Dad. This is my house.
Welcome back to the Ladies of Liberty podcast. I am your host, Lisa, and this is my co-host, Jay. Now, today is an episode that is very near and dear to us, and we are going to be deep diving into the Los Angeles fires. There has been a lot of just harrowing videos coming out of this, and it's going to take California, Southern California, particularly the Palisades and Altadena, a really long time to recover from this. Jay, I know this is very, very dear to you. And so we thought we will dedicate the next 2 episodes into a deep dive into these fires, the complete mismanagement of government, and the corruption that led to such a devastating tragedy in Southern California.
The reason why I am so upset and have been devastated by these fires is because I used to live in SoCal. I know the corruption out there. And specifically talking about the Eaton Canyon fire, that's Altadena, Sierra Madre, parts of Pasadena. My house that I used to live in burned down to the ground, and I was devastated. I was first in shock for a while, then I was really sad, and then got really angry.
Yeah.
So I used to live in one of the Jane's cottages on Mariposa and Lincoln. And luckily the church that was on Lincoln and Mariposa, I believe it survived, Sacred Heart. And those homes are 100 years old. And now for South Carolina and for Washington, D.C., that's not very old, but it is old for Southern California. Mm-hmm. And it's just such a great community, Altadena. I loved it so much. And I'm devastated. So I took it pretty hard. And I lived there for a while. Now, my ex-boyfriend, he still lives there, and his house burnt down. He lost everything. So I really wanted to do a deep dive into this. And I have been praying for everybody out there. And I guess we're not going to really focus on the Palisades, although that is a travesty as well. We'll talk about some of it. But I know Altadena, such a beautiful community. You have poor, middle class. You have some wealthy there. Not like the Palisades, to my knowledge. It's just devastating. There's a lot of families there that live 3-generational homes. I mean, these are not homes that really compare to the Palisades. So these people have lost absolutely everything. And I'm ticked off now. And they need help. And it's been, 3.5 weeks? And they're just forgotten.
It's so crazy because I feel like, first off, I feel like the month of January, as we're recording this, it's February 2nd, but I feel like the month of January has lasted a year. And the news cycle moves so fast. You know, when you think about it, it's only been a few weeks since the fires in LA. And we are still, you know, dealing with the cleanup from Hurricane Helene in Appalachia. And we're praying for all of those people still. They have a long way to go. And we're praying for all of the people in Los Angeles. And, you know, I live in the DMV area. That's the DC metro area. And we just had such a devastating tragedy over the Potomac with the airplane and the helicopter. And then the people in Philadelphia are now dealing with a devastating tragedy. And we have a new administration all in the midst of this. Trump is now in power. Now we have a tariff war with Canada. So it is like the news cycle this year is going to move so fast. So even though we are kind of, I guess, in the podcast world, late to the game on these LA fires, we really want to bring to light some of the things that are happening in Los Angeles and what these people had to deal with, are having to deal with, and the fallout from some of just the incredible, you can call it incompetence, corruption, what have you. Now, Jay, she is taking the reins on this episode because this is something that she is passionate about, that she has worked on. She knows people who have lost everything in these fires. And she knows California very, very well. And this is going to not be an easy road for them going forward. So this episode, we're going to dive deep into what is happening here.
I was told that my house burned down. I drove up. I needed to see it. I wanted to get some clothes for my son. The entire neighborhood is burnt down, but somehow my house does not even have a scratch. There's no fire damage. I went in, but the house next to mine is still on fire. So I'm going around begging anybody to come put out that fire to protect my home.
Because there's no water.
There's no water pressure. I tried to turn on the water myself. I would have tried to put it out, but I have no water pressure, so I have no way of putting it out.
So you and your wife are just trying to go get bottled water?
Yeah, so my wife went to get bottled water. I'm going to meet her down the hill, and we're just going to try and throw bottled water on it, but I don't know if that's going to work.
You need a lot more than that. And so the firefighters said that you're basically not on the list right now?
They said they had a list of places to go. They're spread thin. I understand. I really understand.
Yeah, I know, but so you're just begging somebody, if anybody's got water and can help.
I'm begging anyone to help put out this fire.
So he's got fire basically all around his house, and somehow there's no damage to his house yet, but it's only a matter of time, and there's literally no water to be able to fight it himself.
Correct.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Help. Please help.
If that just does not piss you off that this guy is asking for help and that he's like on a list on whether or not the firefighters can get to him. Like, I understand that there's a lot going on, but California pays the most taxes of any other state in the union, and they can't get adequate fire coverage for an event like the Santa Ana. Anyway, I know we're going to go over a lot of this, but I'm just livid for that guy. That's horrible.
Mr. President, my name is Joel Pollack, and I am a journalist with Breitbart News, but I happen to live in the Pacific Palisades, as do other colleagues. One colleague, John Kahn, wrote the song Fighter, which you played at your campaign rallies. He lost his house and the studio he wrote that song in. We were lucky because I was able to fight the fire on my fence. But when I got to my house, there was no water in the pipes. So I got inside and I picked up the flower vases because I give my wife flowers every week, and there was water there, and we started with that. Then I found my son's bucket of baseballs, and I dumped the baseballs on the ground, and I used the bucket. But there was still no water except for the water in the gutter coming from the burnt homes uphill. So I went to and fro to my gutter and my fence with my bucket. Two guys showed up in a truck, two neighbors. We found two more buckets, bucket after bucket after bucket. Many of my neighbors, including some here, tried to fight the fires. They couldn't. We were lucky our house was saved. But we should not have to rely on buckets to put out a fire.
That's right.
You can't stop an 80-mile-per-hour wind or 100-mile-per-hour wind, but there were many things that went wrong here that are basic and small. We did not have traffic police to guide the evacuation, so there was gridlock on Sunset. They've removed the vehicles now, but there were dozens of vehicles that were abandoned by drivers who fled for their lives because there were no traffic cops available. The fire department wasn't pre-deployed, even though there was an extreme wind event coming.
Only reason that you're able to see us right now is because of a Starlink connection that we just got today. That's the only reason we're able to hear and communicate with you guys right now, because there's absolutely no cell service at all in this whole area.
And all of these residents are paying the ultimate price for that.
Despite what you have heard from Caruso, no firefighters have told us that they are running out of water.
And let's go out to Gigi Graciette. She is live in Pacific Palisades. I know your signal's not the best, but Gigi, what can you tell us?
Well, firefighters have told me they have no water on this block.
People at their homes, and I'm watching the small businesses around us go up in flames. This is people's livelihoods. So it's devastating. But what is most concerning to me is our first responders and our firefighters who are trying to battle this. There's no water in the Palisades. There's no water coming out of the fire hydrant. This is an absolute mismanagement by the city.
No water. No water. No water. Motherfuckers.
Up in the hills, the mountains, they have these giant water tanks that use gravity, and those water tanks ran dry. Part of the problem is a lot of people are using hoses. In the Palisades, ran out last night in the hydrants. I was starting the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system there, it's not similar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system. I mean, those hydrants are typical for 2 or 3 fires, maybe 1 fire. You have something at this scale, but again, that's going to be determined by the local.
But our state is in trouble, and you're not going to make it better, and you've got to go. I can't wait until you're recalled or resign or worse.
I'm in Altadena, California, where many residents lost homes through the Eaton fire. We asked residents at a community meeting what's happened to their homes and what they think about the elected leaders who allowed things to get so out of hand. How have the fires affected you?
We were under mandatory evacuation with less than an hour to get out of our house.
Well, I just moved to Altadena 3 weeks ago, bought my first house.
Our entire home, 30 years we've been there. Gone. Every possession.
A lot of us had to evac. Grandma's house went down, unfortunately.
I have to evacuate from my house.
Do you think the city was appropriately prepared for this fire season?
No.
I mean, they defunded the fire department, I think, a couple of years ago. So they talk about a lot of this on the news. So it's kind of sad what's going on in the state.
This is a recurring issue that we're always having. It always seems like, we're 10 steps behind of something we've been having to deal with for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Well, they need to be more proactive. They need to do forest management. They felt miserable. They didn't have the resource. They didn't have the planning.
We developed in California a bunch of really stupid policies over the last 30 years where we stopped timber cutting, we stopped prescribed burns, we stopped doing vegetation control, and that made this inevitable. I mean, that's the whole thing. The National Forest was established to do those things to make this impossible. And when we allowed the National Forest to stop doing that, we made it inevitable.
What would your message be to the elected leaders who let it get to that point?
They should resign.
Why is that?
Because they are not doing their job right. And the governor is not here. Where is he? He should be here. I don't see him here. Do you see him here? So if he's not here, it's not for us. We don't need him.
You're such smug, arrogant, ridiculous people. My message is you're incompetent. I don't know why you got elected, but our state is in trouble and you're not going to make it better. And you've got to go. I can't wait till you're recalled or resign or worse. So that's it. They've got to go.
Got to go.
Now, for all of you who are watching this and saying, well, that's what they voted for, shame on you. Okay. There are a lot of Republicans out there. There's a lot of conservatives. There's a lot of cheating out there. So not everybody voted for this hellhole, to put it
They
mildly.
tried, I mean, didn't they try to recall Gavin Newsom once or twice?
8 times.
Wow, I didn't know it was that many times.
And now they're
But
trying to do it again.
He's been a problem for such a long time.
Yeah, he has.
And remember in 2018, I remember, now I grew up in Arizona. I grew up out west, like you. And these Santa Ana winds are nothing new. It's not a new event. I mean, this is something that happens almost yearly. You know, it's something that they've known about for decades and decades and decades. If you live in Southern California, you know you get these winds every so often. So it's not like it's a brand new concept, okay? And I remember when the Paradise Fire, the campfire, came through in 2018 and just destroyed Paradise, California. And Trump told Gavin Newsom, you need to rake your forests. And the media was like, you don't rake a forest. What are you talking about? Trump is so stupid. But what he was talking about was fire management. It's something they do in Arizona, where they do controlled burns. They do dry brush clearing. They rake your forest, which is raking your forests. I mean, it is about managing your foliage in the dry season, because this didn't have to get this way.
When I first moved to Altadena, it were right by the foothills. First night, there was the craziest storm. I thought, are we having a tornado? What is happening? Because Altadena has its own weather. Mm-hmm. It's not the valley. It's not the San Gabriel Valley. You drive up Lake. You drive up Fair Oaks, up Lincoln Avenue. And it's nestled there. You have totally different climate. I can't describe it to you unless the people that have lived there and the people that do live there understand it. It'll be 80 degrees down in the San Gabriel Valley, but then you drive up and it could be, 60 in Altadena. It's just different. So the first night that I was there, I woke up in the middle of the night and it was howling wind. And I thought, is the house going to blow away? But there were no fires, thank God. But the wind was incredible, like nothing I've ever experienced. So those are Santa Anas, and they generally come in the fall, not in January, which is weird. It's a little different, but this had nothing to do with climate change. I mean, the climate's always changing, but they get those winds. Now, those winds were really, really horrific. My brother, who lives in Sierra Madre, during that windstorm, he lost trees, but there was just no fire. So it's not that uncommon. Now the fire creates its own weather, and that was pretty nuts out there. My brother had to evacuate with the fires. He's in Sierra Madre, and he sent me some photos that I thought he was going to lose his house, but thank God he didn't. So it's nothing to do with, oh my gosh, we have 12. Oh, I'm sorry. What is it? Now we have 9 years to live on the planet because climate change. It's got nothing to do with that. These hills have burned for hundreds and hundreds of years. That's just how it has been. Now, to my knowledge, it's never gotten that low, like where New York Drive is. It's never gotten that low, to my knowledge. And they started that community in 1920, something around those times, 1900s. But let's be honest, the environmentalists are the ones who don't want to clean up the forest. They're like eco-terrorists. They just let these leaves, they let dead pines, which are very flammable. They terrorize the government, and then the government's like, oh, okay, we have to bend over to these eco-terrorists, and they just let all of this wild debris sit there.
So what is this Proposition 1?
This was put forth in 2014. The voters passed it, all right? Okay. Water quality, supply, and infrastructure. They were supposed to build reservoirs. Not one has been built. It's 2024. It's 2025. Where are the reservoirs? What happened to the money? Nobody knows.
The Chino Basin program, Harvest Water program. So it looks like they've established all of these projects. Like there's the location of where this reservoir is supposed to go.
Now that is east of
Chino
Altadena.
Basin?
But where's the money? Where are the reservoirs? Why weren't they built? What did they do with the money? Did they spend it on the homeless? From 2019 to 2023, they have spent $20 billion on homeless, and the homeless population has exploded. And now it's really exploded because people have lost their homes. So now there's more homeless. And so when you're homeless in California, you get paid. So why would you want to work when you get paid by the state? It's just total mismanagement.
Timeline on this. This is insane to me. They passed this in 2014. The
That's right.
feasibility study wasn't done until mid-2021. Then they have to do all these environmental documents, studies, permits, approvals, public benefit contracts. Construction for this doesn't begin until 2027. That's over 10 years. That's insane.
He used it on hair gel. No, he wasn't the governor in 2014, I have to say. I believe he was the lieutenant governor. I mean, this guy, Gavin Newsom has been in the government forever. Thank you, Willie Brown. That's another episode, though.
July 2018, the commission made maximum conditional eligibility determinations, which is the amount of Proposition 1 funding available to a given project for 8 projects. The projects range from expanding existing reservoirs to boosting groundwater storage to build 21st century storage facilities. Since July 2018, 2 projects withdrew from the WSIP and the commission adjustment. The remaining projects collectively would boost California's water storage capacity by 2.65 million acre feet. So it looks like they've got a problem. And Trump's right. They need to stop with the bureaucratic red tape on all of this stuff.
Possible that climate change is a real issue here.
Well, we'll be looking at everything. I mean, it is land management and it's forest management really is what you mean. But we're going to be looking at every factor and we're going to get to the bottom of it. And I think we can do it fairly quickly. But yeah, we're gonna come up with some really good solutions. Jennifer, I mean, as big as they look on the tube, you don't see what's going on until you come here. And what we saw at Pleasure, what a name right now. But what we just saw, we just left Pleasure for Paradise. And what we just saw at Paradise is just, it's just not acceptable.
For this, and we got to deal with this head on. I mean, the governor's done an amazing job with the legislature the last couple of years. We've invested a record amount of money.
Gavin Newsom was lieutenant governor there, and Jerry Brown is the governor. But you heard what Newsom said. Oh yeah, we'll take care of it. Well, now it's worse, and he hasn't taken care of it because he wants to give money to illegal aliens. He wants to give money to transgender illegal aliens. He wants to give money to the homeless, and he's throwing money, your tax dollars, at the tune of $50 million to stop Trump in California. Well, how's it working out for y'all? You guys need to vote differently. And like I said, I know that y'all out there are not, you're not all Democrats, but people are dead. People have lost everything. And I am devastated for everybody out there. And I hope that they really wake up.
A third issue that came up in last night's debate was homelessness. Newsom claimed that he has spent unprecedented resources on homelessness and gotten 68,000 people off of the streets. Now, the first part is true. The second is preposterous. California has spent $20 billion on homelessness over the last 5 years, and the problem has gotten worse. We spent all that money and it's gotten worse. In recent years, homelessness in California has increased 15 times faster than the country as a whole. half of all the unsheltered homeless in the whole country now live in California. Newsom himself acknowledged that Californians are, quote, wondering where the heck all their tax dollars are going. And if you want to do a direct comparison, the federal government has counted over 171,000 homeless in California last year versus 25,000 in Florida. Newsom himself even said when he was in Los Angeles recently that it looked like a third world country.
Okay, so we know that it's pretty obvious there is mismanagement of funds going on in the state of California. But on top of that, you have a complete mismanagement of the fire department.
That's a whole nother ball of wax.
Yeah. So they had, like other liberal states, set a mandatory policy when it came to the vax.
113 LA city firefighters have been suspended without pay for defying the city's vaccine mandate. In November, firefighters who had not submitted their vaccination status or requested an exemption were informed they would face suspension and termination. Policy requires city employees to be vaccinated by December 18th. The fire department says firefighters who continue to resist the mandate will be entered into the process of termination.
So those 113 firefighters were put on leave. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
And then they were allowed to come back in July of 2024.
Well, they sued. There was 574 firefighters versus the city of Los Angeles. They sued them. The city of Los Angeles ended the vaccination mandate in 2024. Just last year. Not too long ago. This is CNN, so you can't say it's fake news from Fox. All right, you leftists. Beyond the brink, data shows LA Fire Department among the most understaffed in America. Less than a month before the fires swept across Los Angeles, a group of longtime firefighters gathered at City Hall to plead for more resources. They were at the breaking point, one said. Another revealed that $1 million fire truck sat idle because budget cuts has shrunk the number of mechanics available to fix them. They were just sitting in the fire truck boneyard doing who knows what.
Wow.
While the mayor spent your money on nonsense, on DEI BS, the firefighters' concerns over resources weren't off the mark. Even CNN is admitting this. It's an analysis of the most recent data available from the 10 largest U.S. cities and other comparable departments show that the Los Angeles Fire Department is less staffed than almost any other major city, leaving it struggling to meet both daily emergencies and larger disasters, such as the wildfires. The ratio difference of the residents and the homes and the dwellings to the firemen is huge.
Yeah,
it's completely off balance. It's disproportionate.
All three of you testified at City Hall at a fire commission meeting and expressed your concerns about the city's operating budget. Chung, let me start with you. Can you share some of what you said and some of your concerns at that December meeting?
Yeah, some of the things that I reminded and repeatedly stated to our fire commission, to our electeds, have been things we've been saying for the past decade, which is we were woefully understaffed. We need more fire engines. We need more firefighters. We need more fire stations. Our city has grown exponentially over the past decade, yet our fire department has remained relatively stagnant, if not shrunk. And we are going on way more calls, 10 times more calls than we did back in the 1960s. But we're doing that with less firefighters today. And this is just, it's not sustainable.
We've been saying that to anyone that would listen, that we need more fire engines. We need more fire trucks. We need more ambulances. We need more paramedics. We need mechanics to fix our rescues, to fix our engines, to fix our ambulances. We have over 100 response vehicles at our shops just sitting there. We don't know when we're getting them back because we don't have no mechanics to fix them. We are literally begging. They're not sworn like we are as far as firefighters, but we work together. We need each other. We need them as much as they need us, and the citizens need them too, to fix these engines and trucks and ambulances so we can respond. And people are just not listening.
How big a problem was it that some of the hydrants were malfunctioning, Rich?
It was a huge problem. I mean, you put water on fire. Everyone knows that. So when you don't have the water to put on the fire, it ain't going to go out.
Do you know, Rich, why it was happening?
I don't know.
And then they had the budget cuts as well, and they're completely understaffed.
The 10 biggest cities in the nation, Los Angeles ranks 9th when it comes to the number of firefighters per resident.
If we cut one position, if we close one station, if we close one resource, the residents of Los Angeles are going to pay the ultimate sacrifice, and someone will die.
These cuts came at exactly the wrong time, with calls for services at an all-time high and our firefighters at their breaking point.
We are straining our department's resources beyond the brink, and we cannot continue on this path.
Newsweek, they fact-checked something that was going around the internet. Did California donate firefighting equipment to Ukraine? This is what they said. As firefighters continue to battle devastating fires raging in Los Angeles, some have brought up California agencies donating firefighting supplies to Ukraine. The San Francisco Fire Department and other Bay agencies had donated equipment in August of 2022. It added that the LA County Fire Department donated supplies in March of 2022. Fire agencies in Santa Barbara County donated supplies in April of 2022, and the city of San Jose donated $1 million worth of safety equipment in July 2022. The Los Angeles County Fire Department said in March of 2022 that it would gather and donate supply equipment and gear to help first responders in Ukraine. Those items included hoses, nozzles, turnouts, helmets, body armor, and other associated personnel protective equipment, according to a news release on the department's website. As Ukraine firefighters continue to work under extreme peril to remove victims with limited resources, we felt the need to step up and help in some way, Los Angeles County Fire Chief Daryl L. Osby said in a statement.
All over SoCal, people are trying to find ways to keep Ukraine front and center, and that's no different for the LA County Fire Department. Just a few hours ago, Supervisor Janice Hahn was here in Inglewood at Station 171 to show us how they plan to help. With the support of Supervisor Hahn's, the LA County Fire Department is joining efforts to gather and donate some much needed supplies to the people of Ukraine. They pulled together turnouts, boots, helmets, gloves, body armor, and medical supplies to aid the Ukrainian people during this time. This was a quick turnaround for LA County Fire as they received the request Tuesday and needed to get it prepared for send-off by tomorrow.
I think we are no different than any other American who watch that news footage every night and think, what can we do?
We know how dangerous it is to fight fires with full gear. We've never experienced fighting in a war, but whatever we can do to assist them, to enable them to protect their lives and property.
It's another crazy leftist loony state that donates things that they need. And I'm sure people will say, oh, well, they didn't really need it. It wouldn't have made a difference. I think it would have made a difference. So not only are we spending our taxpayer dollars to protect another country's borders, but you, the taxpayers of Los Angeles, did you specifically put your tax money aside for Ukraine? I don't think so. This is what you have voted for. It's absolutely despicable what your government has been doing to you.
It's American last policy. That's what that is.
take a look at this video that we captured earlier today. This is what we found. You are looking at dozens of LAFD apparatus at what's known as the boneyard. Now, we're talking about things like fire engines, ambulances, and ladder trucks. This is essentially a maintenance yard. The reason we bring this up is because we found a budget request in which LAFD Chief Crowley wrote to the Fire Commission. Here's the quote. The LAFD emergency fleet is in constant state of disrepair, attributable to years of deferred maintenance, deferred vehicle replacement, and the lack of resources for adequate staffing and replacement parts. In addition, in May of last year, a restoration request from the city administrative officer said that 89 out of 584 apparatus were out of service. So plainly, that is 15% of the fleet. We had planned to ask the mayor whether those numbers have improved and whether about 100 apparatus would have made a difference in the Palisades fire, but we didn't get a chance to do that because the mayor was a no-show. Again, the budget request was in the writing of Chief Crowley, and in that writing, she said that the department needs to fill 16 positions to have enough people in maintenance to keep enough fire engines and ambulances on the road. We did attend a fire commission meeting last month, and Councilmember Tracy Park was there. She has been screaming about this problem for about a year now, and she says that she went to the boneyard on New Year's Day, and this is what she found.
I've been talking about this for well over a year now. There are almost 100 fire engines and fire trucks and ambulances sitting over at the boneyard, $1 million apparatuses out of service because there aren't adequate mechanics to fix them. The scale of those vehicles just sitting there, rows and rows and rows, with weeds growing up around the tires, is infuriating.
So again, according to the communications department at City Hall for the mayor's office, they are telling us that Chief Crowley is still a member of LAFD. However, they will not tell us in what capacity.
That's another thing. That right there, that fire chief, Chief Crowley, the fact that in the midst of a crisis, okay, you have your officials, your city officials acting this way is despicable. It shows you that there is a huge breakdown of government function. Okay? Like, to have the fire chief screaming at the top of her lungs that something is wrong, we are underfunded, something's going to happen, and then to have a mayor that is so out of touch, is so concerned with identity politics and DEI and all the bullshit of these liberal policies. She has blood on her hands. I'm sorry. The mayor has blood on her hands for the way that this went through. I don't blame the fire departments for what happened. It's pretty obvious that the city had been yelling at her. The fire department had been yelling at her to please do your job, and she refused to do so. We know that there has been money approved in the budget. The voters have voted for it, for these reservoirs to be funded, to be built, and to be full. And we know that that did not happen. We know that that didn't happen. This has got to be, she is either just completely inept or she just has absolutely zero idea how to govern. Or she just has a lot of malice and she just hates the citizens of Los Angeles. And
She's the Kamala Harris of Los Angeles, is what she is.
So, Los Angeles Mayor Bass. So 1 week before, she knows, she's been warned that there are red flag warnings that these Santa Ana winds are coming. Okay, you can usually tell when low pressure meets high pressure, you get these winds, okay, depending on how bad it is.
She was warned, and everybody in California was warned too. Now I don't know if Northern California, but my brother, we were getting notices about a very, very strong Santa Ana winds coming for one whole week. And what does Mayor Ass do? She goes to Ghana.
Yeah.
On your tax dime. So the fires happened on January 7th, 2025. And like I said, a whole week had gone by. There were warnings. People were getting them on their phone just in case. This is going to be a bad wind. Before Bass was elected, I believe she was elected in 2022, before taking office, she promised not to go anywhere internationally. I'm going to stay here in America. Well, she didn't do that. She's been taking international trips, even though she promised she wasn't going to. Who's paying for that? You think it's coming out of her pocket? No.
So this is the fiscal year, the budget for the city of Los Angeles, and it shows you exactly where all the money is going. So we have $126 million for police, $14.6 million for the library. Why do you think there's such a big jump for police?
Because they defunded the police, and now they want more money for the police again. They're like, oh, wait a minute, we didn't really mean that. Remember their whole defund the police when the whole George Floyd nonsense was going on? Well, they actually did. They took a lot of money, and now they're like, oh, that wasn't a good idea. I guess the social workers are not able to help in domestic violence situations. Yeah, go figure.
Okay, so it looks like the departments that are getting more money this year are the police, the library, housing, city attorney, invest for families. I'm assuming that's like internet, recreation and parks, building and safety, city planning, personnel, retirement department, cannabis regulations, ethics commission, finance, city tourism, public accountability, neighborhood empowerment, El Pueblo de Los Angeles, emergency management, employee relations board, the zoo, CMI.
Those look like they've stayed the same. They're not in the green.
Yeah, it looks like they're staying the same. Youth development, same. City clerk, same. Okay, so it looks like the mayor is taking a bit of a cut. Transportation, engineering, econ and workforce development, council, Department of Disability, animal services, contract
that got cut. Animal services.
Yeah. Cultural affairs, controller, aging, street lighting got cut. City administrative office got cut. Public works got cut. In informational technology, your IT got cut. General service cut. Sanitation cut. Fire takes the second most highest cut.
And then $17.6 million. They cut fire.
So they cut fire by $17 million with it already being underfunded and undermanned. And then your street services. And I'm assuming that your street services are important as well.
And sanitation, you would think.
Sanitation. So
because of the homeless problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I did some research. I don't know if we have a graphic, but if we don't, I'll add it to the link down below. $2.1 million to behavioral health and DEI programs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Leaked memo reveals LA Mayor Karen Bass demanded her fire department cut an extra $49 million just 1 week before wildfires broke out. Wow.
In addition to...
Yeah, that's on top of the $17.6 million in her latest budget. These cuts would have shut down 16 fire stations and crippled the department's ability to respond to emergencies, sources say. According to sources, it was sent from LAFD top brass at City Hall to division chiefs and captains after a fraught meeting the previous Friday between Chief Kristen Crowley and Mayor Bass. The LAFD is going through a financial year, 2024-2025, $48.8 million budget reduction exercise. with the city attorney's office. The only way to provide a cost savings would be close as many as 16 fire stations. Why on God's green earth would you decide to pull that much funding from your fire department?
So she can travel to maybe the Ivory Coast next time? I don't know.
But why? Why? Is she like, hey, we'll give the police 126 million, and then next year the fire department's going to get 126 million, and the police are going to have to cut 50 million somewhere?
So it's like you can't have both, right? Why can't you have both? Because you're giving a ton of money to illegal aliens. That's
Yeah.
why. Because you're giving money to homeless. That's why. And your pet DEI projects. Now, these DEI projects, they're not cheap because they hire people that get a DEI certificate, and then they make up this website, and then that person of this X department and Y department and Z department have to get paid because they want to see that a person with darker skin or a vagina gets the job instead of merit.
I think this woman must be on some type of medication because, like, this is crazy to me.
Any of you and all of you that have experienced the loss, the grief, the anger, the just utter shock. I've seen the devastation. It is unbelievable the amount of loss that people have experienced.
No tact whatsoever from this
She's
woman.
smiling. She is a
It's
sociopath.
literally as if someone was like, hey, we're going to make a really fun informational video. So
we have to get through this crisis, and I know that we will. I was at the Sylmar command post today, and I saw the work of our first responders and how they've been able to defeat the fires in certain areas. We know we still have much more to go, and we know the winds are going to kick up again. But we got to stick together. We got to stand strong. And then we have to rebuild our city. We're the nation's second largest city, one of the greatest cities in the world. And we stay together and we will rebuild an amazing city. Oh, thank you, Angelinos. And my thoughts and prayers are out to all of you that are going through unbelievable loss and pain today. We will get through it. Thank you.
We will get through this. She will get through it. She's got your money. She has a house that hasn't burnt down.
In all fairness,
and she's smiling.
It looks
total
so,
sociopath.
Right. But it also looks like she's had some plastic surgery around her mouth.
Like the Joker?
Yes.
She can't stop from smiling.
Like, I don't think that she can't. I think that's her trying to frown. Like, I genuinely think she might either have Botox or fillers or Juvederm, whatever is causing her mouth to look like this permanent Joker smile.
Well, if you look at all the press conferences, she's smiling in almost everyone. However, there are some bites where she's not smiling, where she just looks regular, but she's smiling. She's happy. We're going to get through this as your house is gone and I was in Ghana. We'll get through this together. No, you're not together with anybody except for yourself and the money that the taxpayers have given you.
You know, but it's also a lot of it is like the lights are on and no one's home.
No, the lights are not even on.
Like, look at this.
Citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning. Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
Hold on 1 second.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
You're paying for that incompetence. You're also paying for her bodyguard. This reminds me of the kings of England. They just do whatever they want, right? And they're being protected while they take your money.
Well,
She
what?
is a total sociopath, or she's a psychopath, and she's maybe on some meds. I have no idea. She's obviously incompetent. She doesn't give a rat's ass about you and about your loss. I don't
Right.
understand how California keeps voting for this. Y'all need to wake up.
Well, let's take a look at what her annual salary is.
2023.
Right. So annually, she makes $311,000.
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Not too shabby.
And that's you're saying that's 795% higher than average mayors across the country.
That is correct.
So we've delved into the city of Los Angeles, but I think we should look at the state as a whole and take a closer look at Gavin Newsom.
Well, this was episode 1 of the 2025 Los Angeles fires. In our next episode, we're going to take a deep dive into Gavin Newsom and the 3 Karens, the 3 women who are running Los Angeles City Fire Department. And we're going to touch on Janice Quinones. I'm probably mutilating her name.
Yes,
She's the CEO of Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, and the LA County Fire Chief, Anthony Marone. But that's what to expect from our next episode.
All right. All right, guys. We will see you in the next episode. Bye.